Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, it's not Jeff Bartley who's your host today, but rather the wrong hero as we present, excuse me, our, our latest presentation in our continuing series on politics. This is part 7, and it's called Hopelessly Corrupt. Perhaps I should call it Hopelessly Disorganized in honor of the circumstances under which this is being performed. Well, as always, I'm mighty glad to speak with you and share my vast and infinite knowledge on things political, as well as, of course, every other matter under the sun. Well, just last night I was watching, what was it, New York Review, New York Crime, or whatever the hell that show's called, NYPD Blue, or, I don't remember, Homicide, Life on the Streets. What show is that that's on Wednesday night? It's the one that goes, well, anyway, one guy says to the other, this isn't about politics, this is about the law. Well, jerko, who do you think passes all the laws? Huh? Geez, it's going to bother me until I figure out which one it is. Oh yeah, Law and Order. The prosecution of a high society killer turns political as Schiff and McCoy struggle with the governor in a fight for their jobs. Gee, it sounds an awful lot like something like the Vanity of the Bonfires, or the Bonfire of the Vanities, or whatever the hell it was called. As you can see, I'm really organized first thing in the morning here, and it shows. In fact, the camera's developed an unusual little tick. It won't rewind, so there's going to be a lot of rainbow glitches and the like. Unless I time this exactly right, then it should be no problem. But, of course, timing is everything, and I have not got any. So, well, some interesting stuff in the news. Yeah, yeah. You ever notice, David Letterman, Jay Leno mode here. You ever notice how my voice goes up pretty often? You see, all of you may have forgotten, but I'm still not forgetting that crap Jay Leno made about some guy dressed up in a spaceman suit. Nope, he's not getting away with that. No siree, a ding bob. Anyway, I thought I'd deviate a little bit from my self-styled lesson plan, let's call it. There was something in Harper's Magazine which has expanded on something which was in another magazine. Let's see, what other magazine was that? Gee, it's so hard to keep track of all this stuff. The New Statesman and Society of 8th November 1996 was talking about, actually it's just called New Statesman now, but they were talking about gnosis. And this is becoming an important concept as we reach the turn of the century. Who knows, it could be the new secular or semi-secular religion or what have you. I can't find anything around here. I'm looking for the tape box for the previous, well, I'm looking for the video cassette box that goes to the one I'm doing now, but it seems to be in loco parentis, so to speak. Geez, I'm in an awful bad way. You can probably tell. I'm sort of all over the map. Bear with me. Your patience will be amply rewarded with death. I can't imagine where I could have put it. See, I don't dare stop the tape. I'm on such a limited time frame here that if I stop it, it'll eat up valuable seconds. Nothing like a little dead air to restore much needed perspective to this amateurish production. Gosh, golly, jeepers. sounds too much like G, which sounds too much like Jesus. Who says this isn't the wrong hero age of supreme punctiliousness? Ah, I did find it. All right. Now we can get cooking. I have no more excuses now to fiddle and diddle, to hem and haw, to buck and wing. Anyway, what is gnosis? Gnosis literally means knowledge. And I should write that down because I didn't have it written down in my original source document. So, in the New Statesman, they state that gnosis is the basis of this New Age religion. Ancient heresy or New Age religion? We'll have more on Oprah in a minute. The absolute knowledge that God is a divine spark in the individual. That's gnosis. That is always best which gives me to myself, as Emerson put it. However, more recently, in the wake of the Applewhite or Applegate mass slaying of the Heaven's Gate crowd, the Heaven's Gate gang, as we like to call them here at 104S, Gnosis, according to Chris Lehman, in his online magazine Feed, says, Gnosis taught the body, sexuality, and all institutions of the human social order were affronts to the higher soul of the Gnostic elite. So much metaphysical deadwood that the heroic, solitary believer had to clear away in order to find his or her true salvation. Now, what bearing does this have on the 1996 presidential election, which supposedly we are still in the process of discussing? Well, sort of puts me in mind of Bob Dole's campaign, the solitary, metaphysical shucking away of all earthly, human, merely human garments. Boy, you know, I really missed my calling. I should have been one of those voices for those kiddie cartoons. You know, the voice of the villain. I think it would have been and I could just see how this would go, like the 96 presidential election as cast in cartoon form. It's like, well, we green adventurers, isn't that right, Al? Me and you are green adventurers. That's right, Mr. President. Oh, there's the phone. Hello? Hi. Oh, not too bad. I wasn't able to get them. I don't think they're open till 10. So I'm going to give them a call in a couple minutes. What do you mean? What'd I say? Because I had to take the dog out at 6 in the morning? No, what'd I say? I was asleep. What did I say? Did I say something nasty? What'd I say? What was it concerning? What, the dog? Oh, the other thing? I didn't even know what you were talking about. I thought you were still talking about the dog. I'm sorry. Oh, honey, please. Of course it's something that warrants waking me up. Yes, and I already deposited it. So you're all set. Alright, I'll get on the horn with the library people and see what I can see. Okay? Alright, I'll talk to you soon. You know, I completely forgot I was supposed to call the Newport Public Library. They want to give me a job. Would it be amusing for me to put this job interview, pre-interview on tape for you? Well, first maybe I should get through more substantive matters, like Gnosis. I have a friend who publishes a magazine called Gnosis. It's actually quite a respected journal. You know, I got this enormous pimple on my neck, and I can't seem to get it, you know? I mean, it won't come off. You can't pop it, it's too big. It's turning into a cyst, I know it. Pretty soon it'll turn into a cyst that'll turn into another head, which will take over and start ordering me around. Just like that movie, How to Get Ahead in Advertising. Well, anyway, so yeah, that would be it would be like a kiddie cartoon with the evil gnosis addicted Bob Dole saying, I don't need any help from anybody. I'm my own man. Bob Dole's his own man. Bob Dole doesn't take orders from no one. Bob Dole is a solitary adventurer. Bob Dole has the absolute knowledge that God is a divine spark in the individual. Bob Dole doesn't have any truck with people who try to say that Bob Dole can't do it all alone. In the fight between Bob Dole and the world, back Bob Dole. Bob Dole's not a loser. Bob Dole always does his duty. Bob Dole believes that the body, sexuality, and all institutions of the human social order are affronts to the higher soul of the Gnostic elite, of which Bob Dole is number one. Bob Dole believes that all institutions of the human social order are so much metaphysical deadwood that the heroic, solitary believer, Bob Dole, had to clear away in order to find his or her own salvation. And Bob Dole plans to find his or her own salvation, because Bob Dole's not a quitter. Bob Dole won't stop looking until Bob Dole finds what it is he set out to look for. But Bob Dole knows that it's always in the last place you look. Isn't that just the way? Bob Dole says that I will not repeat myself. I will not repeat myself. I will not repeat myself. Bob Dole says, you can't keep me down. Bob Dole says that 1 week before the election there will be a major political crisis in which Bob Dole will stand to the fore and become the true leader that Bob Dole has always known. Bob Dole is capable of becoming or being. What a mess, huh? I mean, this is probably, I mean, if I'd done this stuff in a kind of in a rational kind of way, like, one a week, two a week, and, two a week, I keep caught up with these programs, and I wouldn't be rushing around. I mean, it's 4 weeks away or so, a little less. I think 26 days from now is when this program will broadcast, unless I've horribly miscalculated, and then it'll be 19 days from now, or 20 days, or whatever. I mean, you get the idea. But that's very short in television time. I mean, I always worked with a lead time of 3 months, but of course that means that you couldn't get the breaking news. Of course, we're talking like stuff from back in November, so I mean, this isn't exactly breaking news. I've learned something that I should have been aware of years and years ago. When you smile when you're talking on the phone, then it makes you sound friendly, even though they can't see you. See, it's a superstition people have about picture phones. They want to be able to behave one way over the phone and another way in real life. And that's sad. That's really sad. Oh God, this is cyst. It's huge now. It's like, oh man, I gotta stop picking at it because now it's like spread, It's like this huge mountainous volcanic. God, it looks horrible. I gotta do something here. See, I usually wear short sleeve t-shirts at work when I'm at the Kennedy School, and now everybody's gonna see this enormous ugly cyst that I can't seem to do anything about. Now, I suppose, back when I was 13, I learned if you slap a hot rag on it, you can get it to drain. But I just haven't had the will, the willpower. And now I got this interview. My entire 3 weeks is booked, solid, and I got this fucking interview. I can't buy a goddamn break, like when I'm really looking for a job. But now that I have 3 jobs, everybody's on the horn to me, like clamoring for my time, which I simply can't provide. It's a pity, it's a shame, it's a tragedy. Now, but I'm going to get on the phone and talk to these people at the Newport Public Library. Now, watch how a real operator works. God, I just know I'm going to commit myself to something that I'm not going to have the time to do. The only possible time I had to do this interview was today, which is ridiculous, because it would involve, like, stopping this and taking, like, 45 minutes to get down here, 45 minutes to get back. It would be 11:30. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I wouldn't have time for anything else. I think maybe I should finish this first. Oh, God. I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. I mean, Tuesday is the only day. Tuesday, the 27th of May, is the only possible day, and that's booked solid. I have a doctor's appointment at 10:30. I got to be at my class at 5:30, which is down in Kingston, Rhode Island, 40 miles away. Of course, I mean, if I could swing it so that the interview is at about 2 o'clock or so, or 3 o'clock even, and it couldn't take longer than an hour. And then I'd be free to swing from Newport to Kingston, which isn't that far away, and maybe read my textbook in the interim amount of time. And because I had to go to the bookstore and either buy the damn thing or read it in the store if there's any copies left by the time I get down here on Tuesday, which there probably won't be. See, I try to, this is so complicated. I try to order it through interlibrary loan, but I waited till the last minute, and none of the libraries will lend it because it's a reference book, 1997 edition. Just my luck, huh? And I've asked like 9 libraries to lend it to me, and so far, one of them has turned me down, and well, no, 2 of them have turned me down. One of them is like keeping the damn thing and dawdling, and they won't answer it. And they have 10 days to answer it, which is ridiculous. I ordered it like on the 18th. And here it is now. Oh, no, I ordered it well before that. Let's see. I ordered it on the... Could I have been so foolish as to have ordered it on the 19th, 18th? No, I ordered it on the 15th. The 15th of the month. Or something like that. And no, it couldn't have been the 15th. I didn't know about it. I didn't know I had to have it until Tuesday. So, yeah, I guess I didn't order it till the 20th. Well, no wonder. No, wait a minute. That can't be right. I must have ordered it before that. Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. What a fool I was, though. Oh, I know what happened. I went to the bookstore and looked for it on the Thursday before the class, which I guess was the 15th. So here it is. I ordered it on the 15th. It's a week later. These jokers are going to hang on to it for 10 days. They seem to have no intention of ever answering yes or no, so it can go on to the next person. Of course, by the time I get to work, it'll be there, and all my foolish lies will have been proven to be nothing more than foolishness. So I'm going to call up this woman. Her name is Edna Wells. She works at the Newport Public Library, and see about this job. I mean, if it's a part-time job, why should I take it? I've already got two part-time jobs. In September, I'll be working another 10-hour-a-week job for my academic stipend. I'll be doing a 50-hour week. I mean, there's only so much time in the year. I mean, in the day, in the week, and dig. Here's my schedule. Like summer, it's a little less, because I got Saturdays off. But I work like Monday through Thursday, 5 hours a day, which may not seem like much to you, but it's very taxing, intellectually and physically taxing work. And then Friday I work like from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. And on Saturday it's like 9 to 5. And the only day I have off is Sunday. And of course, my girlfriend always wants to like do cleaning and stuff. Now I'm getting very far off the topic here, I know. And I beg your indulgence, because this was supposed to be about the grand climax of the political election, hopelessly corrupt. We're supposed to talk about all the hopeless corruption, John Huang, the Democrats accepting contributions from foreign nationals and then being forced to give them back, and such. And it was supposed to be, this searing indictment of our political system, and it's really turned into this a day in the life of the wrong hero instead. And this show was never really about the wrong hero. Well, actually, it is about the wrong hero. Come to think of it, have you noticed that? Have you ever noticed, for the past, oh, I don't know, several months, this has been nothing but Wrong Hero stuff. I mean, usually, we have open mics and things like that, or archival footage, as I'm pleased to call it, reruns, as others might say. Although I've never actually shown the same footage twice. It's like a snowflake. Each one's different. Yes, each program on Cafe Cabaret is different. Howsoever indifferently it is put together, as in this case, where I'm going to treat you to what should be a confidential phone call, but I'm so pressed for time, I can't even take, literally, I can't even take the 5 minutes that it would take me to successfully complete this call. Now we're 20 minutes into this presentation. I've barely gotten beyond the opening paragraph, but anyway, I got to do this phone call, see? And once I do the phone call, then I'll probably have time to, give you my undivided attention, but it's going to be a short show anyway because I guess this tape only runs 1 hour and 10 minutes, and so then after that, I guess what we're going to do is put on the Condo Pygmies. Here's an excerpt of them. Well, that doesn't sound too good, does it? It's an old tape. You see, some of these tapes are so old they're ready to, like, split and crinkle. Who knows how old the tape was when I first decided to tape on it. It was probably already at least a couple years old. And anyway, coming up, after I've thoroughly made a fool of myself by dithering virtually the entire time, I'm trying to get some documentation here. Geez, I can't tell which side is which. Like, whether, according to this, it was recorded on the 18th of February, 1986. So this tape is like well over 10 years old. So, I mean, if it sounds kind of patchy and chunky, that's probably why. But and it's the Condo Pygmies, which is Pat McGrath's old group, and of course, always well worth a listen. And it's not, however, the infinitely superior concert I saw them perform at some loft downtown at about the same time period, back when I was first doing comedy in earnest. But it was shortly thereafter. And I think Nat Friedberg from The Flies was also involved in that particular show. And Rich Gilbert of the Zulus was playing pedal steel guitar. And overall, it was a great concert. And since we're going to have like 50 minutes of blank tape because of the exigencies of the recording process, I mean, if you're going to be forced to stare at blank screen for 50 minutes, there should at least be some sort of music, right? Now, in a better world, I would link it up directly to the tape so that it would at least sound as good as the tape would sound if you were listening to it on headphones. But this is not a better world. In fact, the very best I can do is to shove the microphone right up to the speaker and, just get as good a sound as I can in that way, which of course is terrible, but then again, we wouldn't want the sound to be too good because then you might bootleg it or something. I'd be in trouble. Anyway, here goes. I'm going to make this phone call. I should have had something to drink. My mouth's all dry. Good morning. May I speak with Edna Wells? Well, my name is Francis DiMenno, and I got a call yesterday which discussed a possible position opening at the Newport Public Library. Now, would you know anything about this position? which I've had a lot of experience doing. What are the hours? Okay. Could you tell me what time might be best to contact Edna Wells? All right. I'll give her a call then. Thank you so very much. Oh man. Oh, this is quite a dilemma because well, see, as I explained, I already have this job, right? I mean, I could take the job and then say, hey, the hell with you. You guys suck. At the end of 3 months, back when, when I got my Kennedy School gig going again. Oh, this is quite a dilemma. But, so basically the hours are Monday, 1 to 5. I could probably just barely swing that, except I got this class at 5:30. It would be a tight squeeze. I mean, literally, I'd be like racing from Newport, Rhode Island to Kingston, Rhode Island. God knows how I would be able to do that. I mean, I could probably do it barely in half an hour. But no, then I got to be at the, oh man, I got to be at PC from 9 until 2. It's just impossible, right? And then Wednesday, 5 to 9. Well, I already work at PC from like 2:30 to 7:30. I mean, I could shift the hours, right? That could be made to work somehow. Oh, this is just crazy. I could work 3 hours on Monday. I could work an earlier schedule on Wednesday. But then they want me to split Fridays and Saturdays. Alternate Fridays and Saturdays. 9 to 5 Fridays, 10 to 6 Saturdays. I already have a good job Fridays and Saturdays. It pays a lot more. So, I mean, on the one hand, I really ought to be looking towards the future, and getting away from Massachusetts and working more in Rhode Island. But on the other hand, this is quite untenable in terms of my current schedule. And it's only 15 hours a week. I mean, PC's 20 hours, Kennedy School's 17 hours. I mean, I'd be a fool to take this job because it would basically wreck both of my other jobs. And plus my 10-hour-a-week stipend. I mean, I'm going to have to call them up and say, thanks, but no thanks. And they want me to call them sometime in the afternoon. Oh, great. The VCR is blinking. Does that mean it's not going to record when it's supposed to record? Well, let's see what happens. I'll put the power on. Boom. Now put it off. Now put on the timer. Oh, God. I can't believe this. Oh, there's no tape in it. That's why. That would help. So, anyway. We're 30 minutes into what is going to be an already truncated set, and I haven't really said anything about politics. We're not getting very far, are we, in this? But anyway, Martin Amis talks about Gnosis as being free-floating evil in the New Statesman and Society cited above. Bill Clinton is referred to as a political Janus by Dennis McShane. He's also known as President Hyde. Now that's an interesting thing. We're going to offer guaranteed health coverage for every American. Get that Boy Scout troop out of here. We got the Filipinos coming in with a $3 million donation. Hillary, from time to time a stranger will come with a long black robe and a beard. I want you to treat this man as you would treat me and offer him every courtesy that you would offer to me if I were to come from a far, long voyage. Well, all right, Bill, but I don't know exactly. Do as I say! Anyway, yes. Well, I got a sidetrack here. Elton John is also referred to in the very same issue of New Statesman, November 8th, 1996, as ubiquitously ingratiating. Isn't that great? Anyway, now we're going we're going to move on to The New Leader. Now, this is a magazine which I think has anywhere from 5 to 20,000 circulation. It must be 20,000. I mean, I can't conceive of any national magazine having a circulation of 5,000. That's like for obscure literary journals and the like, put out by small backwater colleges, like the Bridgewater State whatever. The Bridgewater State Poetaster, devoted to bad poetry. Hey, there's an idea for a. There's an idea. Ooh, there's an idea. There's an idea for a magazine. Bad Poetry Magazine. Wow. You know, I just can't get over how often I think of things like this, and I can never do anything about them because, well, I don't have the resources. I mean, you know, if I had been working hard for the last 20 years, like if I had made all the right contacts in high school and gone on to college and made all of the right contacts there, and you know, sunk my money into some sort of valuable investment, like maybe just invested in computer companies across the board with money that I got through some semi-clandestine source. And of course, one or two of them would have hit, and I would be a multi-millionaire. And then, you know, I could just throw my money away on worthless ventures like Bad Poetry Magazine, devoted to the publication of thoroughly terrible poetry. And how many people would contribute to such a magazine? Maybe you could get like really respected poets to like give you their childhood drivel and juvenilia and say, you know, they write little essays like, this is an example of some of the worst poetry I've ever written. Or even respected poets who write bad parodies of their own or other respected poets' poetry. Or even misluded, you know, deluded people who think that getting published in any magazine, and you know, in our editorial policy, we have an open editorial policy. We will publish any poetry sent to us within space limitations. We will not pay you in money. However, we will provide 5 contributors' copies. But you couldn't call it Bad Poetry Magazine. You'd have to call it something like, oh, I don't know, something that sounded a little more prestigious but still gave the idea that it was bad poetry. You could call it something like the Poetaster or something. Because not the layman doesn't know that a poetaster is a bad poet. But of course, the English major, that should certainly be part of his education. And if this were any more free form a program than it already is, then I would then go off on an enormous digression and tell you about the 5,000 literary terms that every educated person should know. I'll do it anyway. It's actually 1,500 literary references everyone should know. A practical, easy-to-use reference guide that will enhance your appreciation of everything you read. I doubt it. Lloyd T. Gross and Ellen F. Lister. You know, people are becoming more library conscious. I just read a book about narcotic use in the United States, the history. It was riddled with errors, but she did take the time to thank the interlibrary loan librarians at Johns Hopkins. And then I saw an ad in, I think it was the National Review, in which they actually quote the ISBN number of the book. And they say, tell your librarian that it's an ISBN number, blah, 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 blah. Tell your bookseller that they're shipping 20 to 30 copies a week. See, this will mean something to these benighted technicians. The ISBN number is 0668 05596-0, paperback. It's probably been out of print for about as many years as it's been out, 1983. So, let's just pick something at random. Eternal war in man between his reason and his passions. Okay. You know, that's political, but these are literary references. Mutton Jeff, My Kingdom for a Horse, Sorcerer's Apprentice. See, all of these things have their correspondencies in uh, politics. My kingdom for a horse. I mean, that's easily what Bob Dole should have said. I mean, we could probably patch together an entire farrago of, the story of the presidential race, working backwards. Well, they have a list of authors, too. Well, if you follow Bob Dole, you will reach the new Zion. Mister, you may think you're a better man than I am, but you're not. Because the young lions of the Republican Party say, Mr. President, you must pay the piper. No more taxes. You can't get blood from a turnip. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, but his name is not Bob Dole. Now, people talk about the yellow peril and yellow journalism and follow the yellow brick road, but I say no more chief executives with a streak of yellow down your back. We need a president who's willing to be a yahoo, not someone that lives off in Xanadu, not some fellow from the wrong side of the tracks, not a guy from the wrong side of the blanket, a man who's worth his salt, because I'm Bob Dole, and the world is my oyster. You heard it before, you'll hear it again, and again and again. Now, Bill Clinton, he seems to be mostly interested in the world, the flesh, and the devil. Well, a word to the wise is sufficient. If I had but world enough and time, I would win this election. Now, Bill Clinton is a Democrat who pretends to be a Republican. Now, to my way of thinking, that's just a wolf in sheep's clothing. Do you want someone who hangs out with the wise and foolish virgins, or do you want someone with the wisdom of Solomon? Me, Bob Dole. For this is the winter of our discontent. And I say, let's win this one for the Gipper, whoever he is. Now, if you think Bill Clinton is going to carry on Republican policies in his second administration, then you are the victim, my friends, of a willing suspension of disbelief. Bill Clinton is constantly on the lookout for the main chance, and remember, as the Bible says, the wicked flee when no man pursueth. Now, as for the vice president, let me ask this. Whose ox is gored? Who will free me from this turbulent priest? Bob Dole is a whited sepulchre. And in this race, I am the white knight. Now, some people say that Bob Dole is whistling in the dark. Some people say Bob Dole's just a whipping boy for the Republican Party. Some people say, which side is the bread of Bob Dole buttered on? Well, I say, where there's smoke, there's fire. Where there's smoke, that's when the saints go marching in. When it rains, it pours. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Now, there are wheels within wheels, and the biggest wheel of all is the wheel of fortune. Now, as they say in the Bible, whatever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. You know, I should have had Bill Bennett as my running mate. He's good at this Bible stuff. Well, you may say, Bob Dole doesn't have a chance to win this election. I say, what's past is prologue. After all, we're talking Bill Clinton here. What's Hecuba to him, or he to Hecuba, that he should weep for her? What manner of man is this that has to ask, what is truth? If you re-elect Bob Dole, Bill Clinton, there will be a weeping and gnashing of teeth. We have nothing to fear but fear itself, for we are not amused. We who are about to die salute you, because there's water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. But Bob Dole deserves to win this race, because Bob Dole has been washed by the blood of the Lamb. Bob Dole has been a participant in the War to End All Wars, Part 2. And Bob Dole is like Joshua at the walls of Jericho. He's like Thoreau at Walden Pond. He's waiting for the other shoe to fall. He's waiting for Godot. And Godot is running late. And so am I. But that doesn't mean I'm going to conclude this speech. After all, if hell is a continuation of purgatory by other means, then war is a continuation of policy by other means, as von Clausewitz, the Prussian general, 1780 to 1831, put it. Anyway, virtue is its own reward. Now, I may be a voice crying in the wilderness, but I believe in the voice of the people. We have left the valley of death, and now we are entering the valley of decision. Now, some may say Bob Dole is going to be sent up the river. Some say, Bob, you don't want to be president because uneasy is the head that wears a crown. Well, Bob Dole doesn't have any truck with any sort of naysayers of that stripe. Bob Dole wants you to know that as far as Bill Clinton's concerned, this is the twilight of the gods. Now, Bob Dole's not going to turn the other cheek. Bill Clinton has basically put together a Trojan horse called the New Democrats and brought it to the walls of Washington, D.C. Now, these New Democrats act like Republicans, but once the horse is open, they all spill out and they're all Democrats, liberals, communists. Now, if only we could see ourselves as others see us, says Robert Burns. It takes a thief to catch a thief. Time's winged chariot, time in the hour, runs through the roughest day. Now some may say, Bob Dole is throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Bob Dole is tilting at windmills. Bob Dole is 70 years and 10, and quite frankly, he sees through a glass darkly. But Bob Dole is throwing down the gauntlet. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox when he treadeth out the corn. Now Bob Dole wants to be a thorn in the side of Bill Clinton, even if he doesn't get elected. Because Bill Clinton sold us out for 30 pieces of silver. And if Robert Reich was still with him, it would probably be the Third Reich. Anyway, things fall apart. The center cannot hold. The best lack all conviction, and the worst are full of a passionate intensity. Like a thief in the night, Bill Clinton came and stole the election. They that go down to the sea in ships and do business in great waters can testify to the works that God works. They also serve, who also stand and wait and serve God. They know not what they do. They toil not, neither do they spin. And there but for the grace of God go I, for that way madness lies, that last infirmity of noble mind. I say, Bob Dole says, tell it to the Marines. I don't need your tea and sympathy. I'll take it with a grain of salt. Because Bob Dole is going to take the bull by the horns. In this business, it's the survival of the fittest. Because the sun also rises, and suffer the little children. Such is the stuff that dreams are made on. Because you got to strike while the iron's hot. This scandal of the Bill Clinton administration is the straw that broke the camel's back. They strain at a gnat and swallow a camel. But Bob Dole hears a still small voice that says that Bob Dole is going to steal a march on the opposition. He'll steal someone's thunder. Because Bob Dole doesn't intend to stand on ceremony. The spirit is willing and the flesh is strong. I don't intend to speak softly and carry a big stick. I'm going to speak loudly, and the big stick will follow. Now, some animals are more equal than others. Sooner or later, we're going to find the smoking gun from the smoke-filled room that's going to put Bill Clinton in the slough of the spawn, where he'll sleep no more, the slumber of the innocents. Because Bill Clinton's got a skeleton in his closet. And I'm going to win this election, even if it's by the skin of my teeth, because the sins of the fathers will be punished, the children will be punished for the sins of the fathers by an angry God. So sing no sad songs for me, Simon Legree. Sic transit gloria mundi. No showing the white feather for me. I'm not going to shuffle off this mortal coil like ships that pass in the night. Not until I've shown you the shape of things that to come. So shake the dust off your feet. Bill Clinton exemplifies the 7 deadly sins: pride, lust, avarice, anger, envy, gluttony, and sloth. That's 9 deadly sins, but Bill commits 2 of them so often I thought I'd throw those in twice. No man can serve 2 masters. Bob Dole doesn't intend to serve any master except the American people. In this election, our task is to separate the wheat from the chaff, find a separate peace. I will not sell my birthright for a mess of Chinese pottage. No, I'm going to screw my courage to the sticking place, and sooner or later, the American people will find that the scales have fallen from their eyes, and they'll see just who this man, Bill Clinton, really is. Not, as he would have you believe, the salt of the earth. No, his administration is a Rube Goldberg device, and sooner or later, the American people will pay for having elected him by running the gauntlet. Now, some may say that money is the root of all evil. I say the Democratic Party is the root of all evil, because the road of hell is paved with good intentions. Now, Bill Clinton may be a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma, as Winston Churchill once said, but Bob Dole has a rendezvous with destiny. Now, readiness is all, says Prince Hamlet in his play Hamlet, written by William Shakespeare, and sleep knits up the raveled sleeve of care, and I haven't been to bed in 72 hours, but that's beside the point. The race is not to the swift. And Bob Dole intends to rage against the dying of the light. I know there's only 2 rages in there, but I threw another one in, just for rhetorical effect. Bob Dole does not intend to win a victory if it's a Pyrrhic victory, won at too heavy a price. Bob Dole does not intend to put the cart before the horse. Bob Dole intends to see that the punishment fits the crime. Bob Dole is not going to be like the prodigal son. He is not going to sleep on a Procrustean bed. Bob Dole will not practice to deceive. He will preserve, protect, and defend. Because Bob Dole believes that pride goeth before a fall. Bob Dole does not intend to enter the point of no return. Bob Dole will not play cat and mouse. Bob Dole says, a plague on both your houses, or at least the Democratic side, if you do not elect Bob Dole in a pillar of clouds and fire. Physician, heal thyself, like the phoenix rising from his own ashes. To sleep, perchance to dream. Wouldn't that be a great thing? But no, Bob Dole is determined to spend the last 72 hours of his campaign doing what Bob Dole does best, make long, incomprehensible speeches. Now, some say that Bob Dole is a victim of the pathetic fallacy, assuming human characteristics reside in inhuman things, such as Al Gore or Richard Gephardt. But Bob Dole will not make that mistake. Bob Dole says that if you re-elect the Democrats, they will open up the Pandora's box. So this is my message to the American people. Paddle your own canoe. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. Our revels now are ended. Our little life is rounded with a sleep. We will not pile Ossa upon Pelion. We will not choose between Scylla and Charybdis, because one swallow does not make a summer, and the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, for opportunity knocks but once. Remember, next time you see Bill Clinton with that little grin of his, that one may smile and be a villain, for the old order changeth. Oaths are straws, man's faith are wafer cakes, and hold fast is the only dog, my duck. Oh, my prophetic soul. Oh, tempora. Oh, mores. Bob Dole's not going to go out with a bang. Bob Dole's not going to go out with a whimper, because there's nothing new under the sun. And I know a hawk from a handsaw, and I know that none but the brave deserve the fair. Now, no man is an island, and there ain't no flies on me. As Eugene Field says in his great poem, Jest for Christmas. Bob Dole recognizes that poem. Bob Dole memorized that poem when he was 12 years old. Mama calls me Billy. Mama calls me Willie. Papa calls me Will. Teacher calls me William, but the fellers call me Bill. There ain't no flies on me, 'cause just for Christmas I'm as good as can be. Well, we reached the end of this campaign. The night has 1,000 eyes. A new broom sweeps clean. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. And neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night will stay Bob Dole from the swift completion of his appointed rounds. You know, the whole story of Bill Clinton's administration might be summed up as, naked came the stranger. Well, my heart is on my sleeve, and I say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? My kingdom for a horse. For my cup runneth over, and if I had my druthers, the moving finger would write. Whatever that means. Most men lead lives of quiet desperation, but Bob Dole's been more sinned against than sinning, and it's more in sorrow than in anger that I cast out the money changers in the temple, but not too vigorously. Excuse me. It's truly been said that Bob Dole has miles to go before he sleeps, but Bob Dole is mightier than the sword, and there is method in his madness. Now, if I could carry a message to Garcia, it would probably be something like, do not be a man without a country. Man never is, but always to be blessed. Make haste slowly, make a virtue of necessity, and make the world safe for democracy. Now, Bill Clinton is mad as a March hare, or a hatter, or an Englishman out in the midday sun, or a mad dog, but the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Now, as I reach the close of my campaign, many have said to me, look homeward, angel, and a little child shall lead you. Do not hide your light under a bushel, Bob Dole, but lift yourself up by your own bootstraps, and land ass over tea kettle. Now, the life which is unexamined is not worth living, so let us now praise famous men. Let the chips fall where they may. The left hand doesn't always know what the right hand is doing, and so, leave it to heaven. Bob Dole has a lean and hungry look. I like not such men, because Bob Dole is being led like a lamb to the slaughter. But this is a labor of love for me, and after all, the Greeks have said, know thyself, and if Bob Dole knows anything, it's Bob Dole. Bob Dole doesn't intend to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. Bob Dole isn't asking for everything, just the keys to the kingdom. And Bob Dole will deviate not a jot or a tittle, because when Bob Dole is elected, there will be joy in the morning. Bob Dole is climbing Jacob's ladder, because it is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. And it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the White House or the kingdom of heaven. Because it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. This is the only election we've got. Now Bob Dole wants to know, is there no balm in Gilead? Is Bob Dole just an infant crying in the night? Will Bob Dole bring forth children in sorrow? Well, no. I say, if Bob Dole be the food of love, then play on. For I am become death, the shatterer of worlds. I am a part of all that I have met. I know nothing except the fact of my ignorance. I only am escaped alone to tell thee. How are the mighty fallen? How many angels can dance with the pin? How many divisions does the Pope have? How much sharper is a serpent's tooth than the horse of a different color? Oh, the horror, and hope to have it after all. Yeah, Bob Dole's been swindled, hook, line, and sinker. I've been hoisted by my own petard. Yes. But Bill Clinton is guilty of high crimes and misdemeanors, and after he gets thrown in jail, he'll become yet another one of the hewers of wood and drawers of water. For remember this, my friends, even if Bill Clinton is elected, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Keep that in mind, my friends. Keep that in mind. Now, this is the heart of the matter. A heart too soon made glad is a heart of darkness. But I have heard melodies that are sweet. You can call me the happy warrior, for happy days are here again. Beware of Democrats bearing gifts. For greater love hath no man than this, that he vote for the Republican Party. Now, go tell the Spartans, thou who passest by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie. Good Samaritan, good night, sweet prince. I've fought the good fight. Soon I'll be gone with the wind. Well, I suppose at this time I've got to give the devil his due and say to Bill Clinton, get behind me, get thee behind me, Satan. For thou art a generation of vipers who gather rosebuds while ye may. Now, ask not for whom the bell tolls, for fools rush in where wise men fear to tread, and the first shall be last, the last shall be first, and a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. I say, ain't that nice? Let us not give in to a fine madness. Let us think of the fire next time. Let us not fiddle while Rome burns, for the fault is not in the stars, but in ourselves, and the fat is in the fire. Let this be a farewell to arms. I will not fall or run on my sword, for fair is foul and foul is fair. And this is the face that launched 1,000 ships. I have entered the eye of the storm. But remember, the evil that men do lives after them. And so I say that there is an eternal war in man between his reason and his passions.